What's up guys, Josh with Navigate the Wild. This video is powered by the Element Chocolate Salty. I've been waiting to do this video. I've wanted to do this video, but I wanted to make sure that we did it at the 2-month mark. So every month I'm going to give you an update on how things are going. I am on the strictest form of carnivore diet I've ever done. So let's outline, before we get into all the health benefits, the weight loss stuff, the measurement stuff, the mental health stuff, I want to clearly outline everything that I'm eating. I've never been this strict, but I've also never been this much in the zone. And I'm gonna talk to you about what that looks like from somebody who has struggled with food addiction in the past as well. It's very interesting what I'm going through these last 4 weeks since seeing you last. So, carnivore diet: meat, water, eggs, salt, tallow. Those are the 5. So when I say all I'm eating is meat, what does that mean? What does that look like? Well, most of it's venison and beef and pork. Those are my top 3. I like having lamb. Lamb's a little more expensive. Every once in a while when I find it on sale, I pick some up. Fattier the meat, the better. So am I eating chicken? Yeah, on occasion I'll have chicken. But when I do have chicken, it's either chicken wings or chicken thighs with the skin on. I love them in the air fryer. I love them with the Redmond's real salt. It's crispy, it's good. But I go for fattier cuts. So ribeyes are my primary go-to. Steak, as well as ground beef or ground venison. When I grind my own ground venison, I'm usually doing an 80-20 blend. That's what I'm buying at the store, 80-20. And even my sausage, if I do my own ground sausage, I have some venison ground sausage. That's an 80-20 as well. And then I do like Italian sausage, things like that, little fattier. Try to get away from the nitrates, but sausage is what sausage is, and I still love it. Doesn't matter to me. So those are kind of the overview of the meat. I do allow myself some seafood from time to time, but not a lot because, again, it's just not that fatty. I haven't broken into the anchovies yet. I'm trying to get my brain over anchovies. I wish they were a sexier name or something. Little fish, crunchy and oily. I don't know. But the anchovy thing throws me off. So I'm trying to get there because I normally don't have any problems when it comes to food and names and stuff like that. I don't know what the deal is. So meat, across the board, I'm eating. I'm not eating lunch meat. I'm not really eating lunch meat. Oh, the other thing that I allow myself is some cheese from time to time. And I'm not really eating like slices of cheese. I'm eating stuff like feta cheese and goat cheese. These 2 are my primary go-tos. I love them in eggs. I did a recipe, a pork chop with goat cheese in it, wrapped in bacon. Oh my goodness, it came out so good. And I made it in the air fryer. I think we have a short up on that. Do that. It was awesome to be able to have that. I had that the next 2 days. Man, it was great. Salt options, there's only one for me. Redmond's real salt. I've tried a bunch of others. I've tried Himalayan pink sea salt, blah, blah, blah. The Redmond's real salt, fine grain. I have a salt pinch. I'm cooking with it. I put it on my meat before I eat it. I throw it on my eggs, a little pepper. It's great. To be honest, I haven't looked into it. Just what you lose from most iodized salts. Redmond's is mined here in the US. It's got all the trace elements that you need. And so it has been a fantastic option for me and my wife to stay on carnivore, and it gives me all the flavor that I want. I made bobcat, back straps, and tenderloins at the last UFC fight night that we did here, and all I used was Redmond's. That was it. My guys were asking me, like, what are you doing? You know, you're putting this on the grill, and are you gonna put barbecue sauce on it? I love when people realize, all my guys know, most of my guys now are doing carnivore, but you tell people, yeah, I'm on carnivore diet, all I'm eating is meat, and they go, yeah, so you want some birthday cake? You want to put some barbecue sauce on that? It's like, we have to retrain our brains, you know? People just, they don't think, and I didn't think either about it at first. I was like, I need to look into this. And then I started looking into it and realizing, oh wow, there's sugar in everything. So we did bobcat, backstrap, and tenderloins on the grill like a week ago. Redmond's real salt, everybody loved it. It was great. It tasted like lean pork. It was awesome. So we're doing Redmond's real salt. Element in our water, element in our coffee. It's a great way to start the day. It's a great way to break up just black coffee. I usually drink 6 to 8 ounces. If you're drinking about 6 to 8 ounces, half of a sleeve of the chocolate element is great. One full one, probably overpower it. So if you jump up to the 12 to 10 ounces, even 16 ounces of coffee, one sleeve of the chocolate element will probably be the best. We recently got our first big shipment in. We went with watermelon, orange, citrus, and the chocolate. I've had the raspberry as well. I love them all. So that's been great. But it has been awesome to know, especially in Florida, as you're sweating throughout the day, I work outside, that you're replenishing your magnesium, your potassium, and your sodium. Huge. I work outside, so I'm sweating a lot. I was doing a competitor's brand when I first started, the first about week, and realized it had sugar in it. So I had to dump it. We made the jump over to Element, and because we're not going out to eat all the time, I can afford the cost of it. And to me, just like I don't want to skimp on my meat selection, I don't want to skimp on the elements that I'm putting back in my body that I'm sweating out throughout the day. So it's been a huge help for me. Tallow, I'm using as pure as possible. I was saving my bacon grease. I just didn't like the way it looked. Brown, burnt. For me, I would rather go with pure tallow that's new, fresh, rendered, clean. And so I'm really happy with the Chicago Meat Packing Company's tallow, the Wagyu tallow. It's awesome for egg. It doesn't smoke. It doesn't burn. My wife wanted some scallops for Mother's Day, which is tomorrow. That's why we're doing this today. So I'm gonna make sea scallops and use the tallow and butter combination. So far, I bought 2 pounds of the tallow. Might have even been like 2.3 or 2.5 pounds. It's lasted me almost 2 months. I'm getting low right now. I'm gonna probably need to order it by the end of the month again, but I cook a lot. I'm cooking a lot, especially on the weekend. We're meal prepping throughout the week. I'm making multiple dishes. Butter, Kerrygold's, any type of organic, grass-fed butter we'll go with. I like it in my coffee. I like it as a combination when I'm making eggs. A little bit of tallow, a little bit of butter. But if I'm cooking in something, it's tallow. Water is just water. I'm not going out and spending a ton of money on vitamin waters and all these other liquid deaths and all that stuff. I'm sure that stuff is great, but we're just drinking water. So we've got water, we've got salt, we've got meat, eggs. The eggs we're eating, again, because we're not going out to eat all the time, we're trying to get pasture raised. If I can get farm fresh eggs, we'll get farm fresh eggs. But either way, I can afford organic, free range eggs. So that's what we're eating. And I'm usually buying, 3 flats at a time. We're going through quite a bit of eggs. So everything that we're eating right now is like organic and good and makes you feel good. And so it's been fantastic. The weight. When I started this 2 months ago, I was 191 pounds. Last year, when I started this in February, I was 201 pounds. I'm only 5'4". So 2 months ago, I was 191 pounds. I am currently 171 pounds. So down 20 pounds total. I'm trying to get down to about 155 pounds, but I'm 171 right now. I have fluctuated, and it's really interesting, sometimes even really frustrating to step on a scale. You do not deviate from anything, and the scale goes up and the scale goes down. The scale goes up and the scale goes down. I've had the scale fluctuate 2 pounds. I haven't done anything different. I remember getting to 173 and feeling like I broke through a wall. And then the next day I was 175 and I almost cried. So the process takes time, which I'm aware of. Also, I went from 191 to 178 super quick. I mean, the first 10, 12 pounds peeled off. That's everything that I'm hearing from all my guys as well. So I've got like 5 guys and my sister eating carnivore right now. My wife as well. Keep going strong, guys and gals. Everybody has said the same thing. Man, I peeled off a bunch of weight. Next thing you know, I stopped. And then it went up, and then it went down, and then it went up, and then it went down. And so I keep reminding everybody, we have treated our bodies like carnival rides for the last decade or so, and it's not gonna just reverse. So keep going strong if you're out there and you're doing this along with us, because it's tough, but don't give in and don't deviate. Jordan Peterson says, I never cheat Not even a little bit. So the weight has been slowly coming off. My measurements have slowly been shrinking. So most recently I had a big victory and I had to go buy a new pair of jeans. That was cool. I'm a size 30-inch waist. When I started this, I was a size 34 waist. So 4 inches off my waist. I got into a medium-sized shirt where I put the shirt on and I go to pull my pants up and my shirt is automatically tucked in. I don't have to go out of my way to tuck my shirt in because I don't have this giant belly that it has to get over anymore. My shirt just goes where it needs to go. You know, I don't really walk around with my shirt tucked in anyway, but we had a place to go where a shirt needed to be tucked in and it was a non-issue. Not a problem at all. Couple of things that I've noticed right out the gate. I'm trying to keep a list of all this stuff so I can keep you guys updated. Big one. No snoring. My wife used to have to wear earplugs. That's embarrassing. My wife used to have to wear earplugs when sleeping next to me. I've had some talks with other buddies that are on Carnivore now. Their wives used to make them sleep in another room. Some guys are getting off CPAP machines. But for the last 2 months, I've had no snoring. That's been huge. And I know some of these things that I'm gonna mention, they're quite embarrassing, so try to be nice to me, but I wanna be transparent with you guys. My gums are healing in my teeth, so they went from bleeding to red to pink, but no bleeding gums and no inflamed gums. So that's been huge. I like to think that my teeth are even a little whiter, which traditionally has been a problem for me. I don't go to the dentist all the time. I don't get my teeth bleached and all that crap. That's not happening. I have in the past had toe fungus in my 2 big toes on my feet. I've tried everything to get rid of it for years and it's gone, completely gone. No toe fungus whatsoever. I've tried different medications and different topicals. Nothing's worked. Carnivore worked. It's completely gone. That's huge. One thing that hasn't completely fixed itself, but is definitely on its way, is I get eczema. It's so strange. I get eczema on the back of my ears, on the top of my feet in small patches, on the inside of my calves in small patches. Currently, and you know, it itches. I don't know if you've ever had eczema, but man, it sucks because it itches, and then when you itch it, you're like, oh, thank God, you know. It's definitely healing on the back of my calves. It's definitely healing on the top of my toes, and it's starting to heal on the back of my ears. The ears seem to be the hardest thing to get rid of, but I feel optimistic about it, and we're moving in the right direction. So I feel great about that. I mentioned to you in my 1-month follow-up that I had numbness in my hands. That's been gone. Rapid heart rate, from time to time, I would get rapid heart rate. That's completely gone. Cluster headaches. I've had 1 headache. It was small. I don't necessarily know why. Haven't had one since, but in 2 months, I've had 1 small headache. That's huge for me. I used to have debilitating headaches. I don't know if they were migraines. I've had some people tell me, doctors tell me that they were migraines. Some doctors would tell me they were cluster headaches. Regardless, since I was 17, I have struggled with them. It was not uncommon for me to have a headache that would last 7 days. I'd take medication, ibuprofen, we know it's terrible for you, Tylenol, and I'd have to take it every day. You know, 800 milligrams of ibuprofen every day for 7 days. Terrible. I used to have a straining in my eyes. That's gone. I used to move around like just nervous tics. I don't know that they're gone, but it's drastically reduced. Drastically reduced. No gas. You know, I used to get quite gassy, especially after meals. Don't have any of that. No bloating. I don't know if you guys, when you eat, especially pasta or something like that, man, you could just feel your stomach expand and you're bloated. Zero bloating. No bloating at all whatsoever. So those are some of the physical things that I'm noticing. Stamina's a lot better. I'm getting into the woods a lot better. It seems that I'm walking a lot faster. I care for lawns. Down here in Florida, this is an industry where we fertilize lawns and all that stuff. Stamina at work is fantastic. I did 24 stops yesterday. Had my lunch, had my element, but 24 for one guy is a lot. And so I'm kind of maxed out at work, but man, I feel fantastic. I'm not dragging, I'm not needing breaks, I'm not needing any of that stuff, and feel great, so that's fantastic. All right, so that's kind of the physical. Let's get into the mental health aspect of this, because I didn't realize how many things I was actually wrestling with before starting Carnivore. I knew that I had some depression. It wasn't clinical. It wasn't something debilitating, thank God, because I know some people out there struggle with that. But I would definitely get into some darker thinking and just, you know, loss of hope. Being a Christian, man, we want to cling to hope. It's our anchor to the faith. And so, I think that a lot of Christians don't like to talk about, depression and loss of hope. I struggled with it and have struggled with it. For the last 8 weeks, I haven't had any of that. I've been more optimistic, more positive. I never wrestled with anxiety until COVID. So the last couple of years I've had anxiety. Sometimes it would flare up quite bad, and started really cleaning up my lifestyle about 2 years ago and breaking some terrible habits. And I had anxiety from it. I don't know if it was, fear, whatever it was driven by, but it was there. I have zero anxiety. Zero. No anxiety at all. I have been great. Even when things aren't going as planned, I've been able to stay positive, feel good, keep moving forward. Right now I'm reading Jocko Willink's book, Discipline Equals Freedom, as a devotional. So Jocko, doubt you'll ever see this, but just to have a devotional like that in the evenings, I read one, just think on it, meditate on it. It's been awesome to have. Definitely more calm. As long as I'm not hungry, I'm super positive and I'm super calm, which is great, because I tend to be more of a emotional driven, crazy guy, and talk a lot, loud. I'm passionate when I talk about something, especially something I care about, which I'm trying not to overwhelm all of my family and friends with this carnivore thing, but I'm excited about it. My life is changing, and it's changing for the better, and people around me are noticing that. And so when they ask, it's almost like, when you get saved, people are like, what's different in you? You're not freaking out anymore. You're like, I found Jesus, In the same way, it's like, what's different with you? And I go, I'm finding my health. I'm gaining my health back. We're going to do a video in a couple weeks about my cancer. I'm a cancer survivor. So I kind of felt like in a strange way, I felt the same way when I got a clean bill of health, that I didn't have stage 3 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma anymore. It's like, I'm not dying, It's like, this is exciting. Thank you. I feel like I'm getting my health back. And I feel like I would say I'm gaining my health for the first time in my life. So we'll get into that at a different time. Other than that stuff, that's a pretty good, I'm looking at a list here, by the way. I know you're going to be like, he's looking down, because I can't remember all this stuff. That's pretty much everything that I have experienced in the last 2 months. I'm not slowing down. I got into a conversation with a guy that I respect a lot last weekend. He's in the fitness industry. He is in great shape. I love this guy. And he said to me, he was skeptical. He gave me the skeptical hippo eyes, And he said, well, is this sustainable? Is it sustainable, is what he said. From the perspective of a former and recovering food addict. Food to me has always equaled comfort. I've always eaten something, felt happy. When I'm sad, eat something, feel comforted. And he said to me, is this sustainable? And I started thinking about it. I've always ran to food for comfort. I've always run to food for security. I've always run to food for pleasure. I didn't realize that. Maybe I thought about it from time to time, but I never really gave it deep thought. And the idea of, wow, I'm addicted to food because I'm addicted to having something that comforts me. It's a little overwhelming to think about. So addicted that it could be anything, and it could actually be taking my health. And that's okay with me, because when I'm happy, when I'm comforted, I don't have to think about this stuff. I don't have to work on this stuff. I don't have to deal with this stuff head on. And so I told this guy, I said, I'm never going backwards. I'm going to make it this time. It was weird to say that. I'm going to make it this time. But I just was so reminded of how many times I've been down this road and failed, how many times I've been down this road, not necessarily the carnivore road, but just the different paths of diet. anything on YouTube you can find, and you're gonna find justification and facts and smart people talking about why they feel passionate about whatever type of diet they're on. All of the stuff that I've mentioned before is great stuff. The idea that I'm not held captive by what I put on my dinner plate is life altering for me. And you know, there's things that I miss. I hope one day to get to a place where I can go, you know what, tonight I'm gonna have a slice of pizza. Tonight I'm gonna have sushi. I'm a fan of food, but when food is the driving factor in your life, it's wrong. And so I don't wanna live like that anymore. And I told this guy, I think it's absolutely sustainable because I'm not kicking and screaming anymore to eat a steak. I'm not kicking and screaming going, oh man, beef tonight, you know, like the mind just doesn't think that way. My brain doesn't think that way anymore. It's not like, eat your Brussels sprouts, Josh. I don't want to eat my Brussels sprouts. I don't think in those terms. So food for these last 2 months has not been operating out of the vein of comfort, security, and pleasure. It operates in the vein of this is fuel. Years ago, when I was in high school, I had a buddy of mine that was going into the military, was going into the Marines, and this guy was super pumped about it, but on a level of discipline that I had never experienced. He was way before his time. But we would hang out and he'd say, what time is it? And I'd go, you know, it's 3. And he'd go, we got to go home. I got to go eat. And I'd go, what do you mean? He's like, I need fuel. I haven't eaten. I'll just go to the gas station. I'm not eating that. I need chicken. I need this. He was super specific in what he was eating. And what I realized is this guy knew his fuel source. He wasn't willing to deviate from his plan. And man, he looked the part. Guy looked like Captain America. He wasn't driven by pleasure. He wasn't driven by emotion. And he wasn't driven by comfort. He was driven by, this is a fuel source. This is the only fuel source I'm going to put in my body. You should probably do the same, Josh. You're pretty heavy. So that's how I'm doing it now. And this is not fabricated. I didn't plan this. It's just how we've gotten to this point. Anyway, guys, thank you. I know this is a longer video, but I really wanted to get this one out. And just keep encouraging me. I'm going to keep encouraging you. I'm going to keep encouraging the people in my sphere. And do the same, man. Start with a guy, start with a spouse, start with your buddy, and just invite him on the journey, because this is changing my life for the better. I told a friend of mine the other day, I said, everything is better in my life because I'm not leaning on food to fulfill these 3 categories of my life. Food simply has a place of, this is the vehicle getting me to where I'm trying to go, and all of these other things are falling into place. This is the best thing I've ever done. So I'm going to invite you, encourage you, keep going, and navigate the wild.